Oh, the things on YouTube. People are still after this Medicare for All thing, which I am for. I am for Medicare for All. But let me preface this by saying that we have a president right now who promised during his campaign that nothing will fundamentally change. He also promised during his campaign that even if Congress passed Medicare for All, he personally would veto it. He doesn't believe in Medicare for All. So anybody who is trying to pressure Nancy Pelosi to do whatever with the vote, force the vote, they were calling it. And some of those people are fine people, and I agree with them on a lot of things, and I enjoy their shows. But who's going to force the vote? Who do we have in the Democratic Party? We have a few people calling themselves the Squad, or they've been labeled the Squad, and they're basically like ninth graders in a room full of college seniors who are already on their way to getting their PhDs, and they've been entrenched forever. We've got a lot of new people calling themselves a Squad who would like to do Medicare for All, but if you get on their case and say, well, you didn't do what you promised. Well, you know what? We had a president in 2008. There was a guy campaigning who said, on my first day in office, I will close Guantanamo Bay. It is now 2021 as I record this, and Guantanamo Bay has not been closed. The person that became vice president at that time is president now. And if you want to get on the Squad's case for making promises to get elected, everybody makes promises to get elected. There's a line in a song, it's like a promise in the year of election. If you believe promises made by politicians during an election year, you are sadly mistaken, and you will always be disappointed, because things that you'd like to do, you may be honest about wanting to do those things. But once you get elected, you find out there's a rude awakening. There's things that you can do, but there's basically not a whole lot you can do to live up to your promises. Alexandria Cortez ran on a wonderful campaign. I was for her campaign. I was for her campaign promises. And now there's a lot of people that are mad at her. And she does seem to do some crazy stuff once in a while, like going to the border and weeping at the fence, even though she was nowhere near the caged children. And yeah, she does. Optics are very, very big in the Democratic Party, and the other big party too. But the DNC has made a specialty out of optics, and unfortunately, AOC got caught up in that too. I'm not making excuses. I would like all politicians to be honest. I would love for the people that I get attached to live up to the promises. But it just never happens. It never, ever happens. And all we can do is hope for the best. But it never happens. 92, I got my hopes up so high for the Clintons. And my hopes were dashed almost immediately because Bill Clinton had to go on television shortly after he was elected and say, you know what, we wanted to do Medicare for All, we wanted to do a better health care plan, but we can't do it. He broke into national television to give that little speech. I remember it well because it was like such a letdown. I thought this guy and his wife were going to really, really change things. They were young, they were inspiring, it was hopeful. I wrote them fan mail, but I didn't really regret voting for them because the alternative at that time, I had had enough of George W. Bush because he was in office for 12 years under Reagan and then a term of his own. So, no. I didn't want them, so I was happy. I was very happy when Clinton won, but man, my hopes were dashed almost immediately because they promised. And then they blamed it on the opposition party, of course, which both parties do. They want to get something done, but they will say, well, we would like to do it if it wasn't for that other party over there. They won't let us do it. So keep that in mind for next time. If you think that you've got a politician, you're backing that politician, and you think they're going to do the things that they say they're going to do, they ain't going to do it. They might try. They might try. The best thing that you can do is try and get more people who want those things elected to office. Because right now there's this tiny, tiny little bit of people that want Medicare for all. And that tiny little people cannot force the vote. Now you can say they should have tried. Well, why? When you've got a president who says, I will veto if Congress passes Medicare for all. Why even try when you got a situation like that? He didn't say, force me to do things. He said, I'm not going to do it, no matter what you do. I'm not going to... Everybody was like, I'm going to push this guy to the left. He was not going to be pushed to the left. Joe Biden's been one of the most conservative Democrats ever since I can remember. And I was paying attention, as I've mentioned many times before. I was paying attention to politics during the Watergate years. And I knew who Joe Biden was when he first rose to power. And I knew that this guy was pretty much just Nixon with a D by his name. And they both together collaborated on the drug war, and many, many things went by over the years where Joe Biden was proving to be very much a Republican. He may as well have been a Republican. Even in the 90s, you guys know the story of him really trying to get Scalia on the bench, Republican nominee Scalia on the Supreme Court, and Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court, and he dragged Anita Hill through the mud. Both Republican nominees. Joe Biden convinced all the Democrats to go along with it and vote for those guys, because we want to get other things. And, what are the other things that you're hoping to get out of the deal? What are the other things? Well, Joe Biden, what does he want? He wants to crack down on the drug war. He wants to be even more... He doesn't want to crack down on the drug war. He wants to be even further to the right of Richard Nixon on the drug war. He wants to continue it. So, I don't know why people love this guy. If he didn't have the hair plugs, and if he didn't have the new teeth, and if he didn't have the facelift, if he still looked like that guy with the, the mullet back in the day, and he's mostly bald, and if he still looked that way and he had an R by his name, that's really the best way to approach politics, by the way. If you are for a Democrat, examine them and go, would I vote for this person if they had an R by their name? If you're a Republican and you see somebody that you like, think to yourself, would I vote for this person if they had a D by their name? What are their policies? What is their history? So getting all worked up about the squad not fighting hard enough for Medicare for all. You would be better off, really, truly, if state by state you pressured your local state representatives to get you Medicaid for all. And then eventually there'll be Medicare for all. But right now, you're all focused on getting the president and Congress to do something on the federal level, which probably isn't going to be done for the next 25 years. They've been trying for the past 30 years or so, 40 years or so. They've been trying actually since FDR, because FDR started Medicare for all with the idea that, okay, we're going to first take care of our elderly people and disabled people, and they will get Medicare, but eventually it's going to trickle down and everybody will get Medicare for all. So we've been trying to get Medicare for all of these years. So why now are you going, oh, well, these few people in Congress didn't do enough to get us Medicare for all. They're phonies! Like that guy on the Family Guy. You're a phony! Well, just try and work with what you got. Work with what you got. And if you know that these people came into office with very, very good intentions, the thing to do is to keep working for more and more people with similar intentions. And I don't want to fight about force the vote. Force the vote is over. Work on the state level. Try to get it Medicaid for all passed. That's your best bet, as far as I can see. And that's all I wanted to say today, because I got into a big Twitter war with somebody yesterday that, for stupid reasons. Just somebody that wanted to fight, and I'm happy to fight with you. If you want to fight with me, I will give it back to you as just the same as you give it to me. And who cares? Who cares really? And they were like, "What's the point? What's the point of even voting for people who say the right things?" Well, there's no point. There is no point. You can vote for them and hope for the best, but there's no point. Don't be cynical, somebody says. Well, you know what? One of those guys that says, "Don't be cynical," is one of the main guys that made me very, very cynical. And I just have to, not really care. Try not to care. Because, if you try not to care and then something good happens, you can be pleasantly surprised. But if you care too much, the things that you want are just never going to happen. And you'll always be disappointed. That's my word of advice for today. Try not to care. Peace for now. Peace forever.